The final set of college football playoff rankings will be released on Sunday. Here's a look at Brad Crawford's bracket prediction. So, top four, he's got Indiana as they beat Ohio State, the Big Ten title game. Ohio State only dropping to 2, according to Brad. Georgia at 3, Texas Tech at 4, 8, 9. Notre Dame and Oklahoma. I'll mention that Oklahoma is 0-5 all-time against Notre Dame in Norman. James Madison, the champion out of the Sun Belt, heading to Eugene to play Oregon, where there'll be a projected 28.5-point underdog. No, I'm just kidding, but it's going to be a massive spread. Tulane in a rematch against Ole Miss. They got blown out earlier in the season, 45-10. And Alabama and Texas A&M in the 10-7 matchup, a matchup we did not see in the regular season, and perhaps we get it in the first round. Again, these are the predictions according to Brad Crawford, what his bracket looks like. We'll get the final bracket on Sunday afternoon. This college football playoff look ahead is presented by Capital One, here with Adam Breneman, Richard Johnson, and welcome in the aforementioned Brad Crawford. Let's start with Alabama. Alabama did not look like a playoff team in their blowout loss to Georgia in the SEC title game, and one of their own agrees. Two-time Alabama national champ Damian Harris had this to say post-game in Atlanta.
Damian Harris, Alabama running back. Do you think Alabama's a playoff team?
You got to be real.
No, they are not. Miami, I would have a lot of confidence that they would score more than 7 points against this defense. Texas already did it. Vanderbilt, I believe they could do it. This Alabama team, specifically the offense, it did not look playoff caliber. Straight up and down, Hakeem. Straight up and down.
Damian, thank you. Brad, are you keeping Alabama out? What's the case to keep the 3-loss Tide in the field?
No, Alabama's my last team in. I think it comes down to Alabama or Miami for that final at-large berth. I think it's going to be given to the Crimson Tide. Look, is it time to devalue conference championship games? That's the question the selection committee is going to have to ask itself tonight and into the wee hours of the morning in Grapevine, Texas. If Alabama does not make this 12-team field because of its loss Saturday afternoon in Atlanta, then I think the end of conference championship game weekend is near. Alabama did enough during the regular season. By the way, they did beat Georgia in a true road game, 24-21. I just think Alabama is going to be that team in over Miami.
Yeah, I agree with Brad. I think Alabama is going to make the college football playoff. You cannot punish a team for having a 13th game, playing in the conference championship game in the best conference in football and losing that game. Oh, by the way, to a team they beat earlier in the season, the Georgia Bulldogs. I think Alabama will be in the playoff to protect conference championship games, but also because Alabama is deserving. They went on that run in the middle of the season, beat 3 straight ranked teams. This is an Alabama team that played in the SEC, the gauntlet of the schedule, and won a ton of games, Richard.
Well, to be honest with you guys, I don't care what happens with the rankings today, or tomorrow, I should say. Well, it is today. It's after midnight. I think that conference championship games are going the way of the doter in the medium to long term. So we'll get to that. That's a separate discussion. But to me, guys, I think the committee was setting it to do what I do think they are going to do tomorrow. I know Brad disagrees, but I think Miami gets in and Notre Dame stays home.
Notre Dame stays home. Okay. All right, so, Brad, perhaps the committee drops Alabama to 1 spot to 10, moves Notre Dame up to 9, even though Richard disagrees. What do you tell Miami in this scenario when they beat Notre Dame earlier this season and just watched Alabama get blown out?
If I'm the committee member or Hunter, you're the committee chair, I'm telling Miami what I've told them the last 4.5 weeks. We believe Notre Dame is a better team than you, Miami, despite the head-to-head win. The committee has told us that, Hakeem, these last few rankings. And I think the committee showed its hand a little bit last week in these penultimate rankings when it moved Alabama from 10 to number 9, sort of to preclude this scenario, which is unfolding tonight, where Alabama got blown out by Georgia. The committee saw this could be a possible scenario, and to keep Alabama in despite losing to Georgia, now all you got to do is move them 1 spot back. I just don't think the committee all of a sudden changes its mind after we've seen the opinion for 4.5 weeks be Notre Dame is better than Miami.
So the eye test will tell you what when you rank Notre Dame and Miami next to each other.
Yeah, Notre Dame's the better football team right now. I mean, Notre Dame now has the win against Boise State, who won the Mountain West Conference as well, has the win against USC, has a win against a ranked Pitt team. That was a big-time game on the road. Miami lost in November to SMU. I mean, we're talking about Notre Dame's losses were the first 2 weeks of the year to Miami and a really good Texas A&M team. I don't even think it's really that much of a debate. I think Brad somewhat agrees with that. Notre Dame is the better football team right now, and the committee's going to put them in the playoff.
You know, I actually do agree with you guys that Notre Dame's the better football team. I think it's slight, but I do think if you put them on a neutral field today, I think Notre Dame would edge Miami out. However, we put them on Miami's home field September 1st, the first week of the season, and we saw how that played out. So I do think that in their debates, I think they will finally do what a lot of people have been begging them to do for the last 5-6 weeks, which is finally judge Miami's head-to-head victory over Notre Dame and use that to slot them above Notre Dame in their calculus and put them in the field. I don't think they've done that so far during all these rankings.
We're talking about at-large bids, right? So my question here in this scenario, and as a fan sitting here thinking this, okay, Miami beat Notre Dame earlier in the season, but then you're trying to tell me that Miami's not as good as Alabama right now. If you're talking about the 12 best teams and you're talking about at-large berths, and there's 7 of them, you're trying to tell me right now that Alabama is a better football team than the way Miami finished the season.
Well, I think with the Alabama SEC championship game calculus, you have to factor in that Alabama has a 13th data point in there.
Why do we have to factor that?
We have to factor it in because Miami doesn't have one.
Agreed.
Go ahead, Brad. Go ahead, Brad.
And Miami didn't make its conference championship game in the weakest Power 4. I mean, Miami had a shot to,
and that conference is going to change they're going to change their qualifications to get in, because now this is what's going to happen out of the ACC is they're going to get left out, which we're going to get to that in a second. But now Miami is sitting at home thinking, well, what the heck do we have to do to get in? Yeah, you got to play for your conference championship. I get that. But if you're telling me the conference championship is going the way of the dodo, then what does it matter?
You shouldn't have lost to SMU.
No, you should. You're right.
Well, Miami stubbed its toe twice. Miami has no one to blame but itself if the committee has the Hurricanes as the first team out on Sunday afternoon.
Okay. People are going to be upset about this.
I was about to say, I think Miami going to be blaming the committee.
I'm just saying. This is going to rage on for days after the committee announces its final rankings on Sunday, and we're going to sit here and go, well, did the results matter on the field? You're telling me that Miami beat Notre Dame, but Miami's not in the college football playoff because they didn't play for their conference championship. They had a bad loss. It's so confusing to a college football fan right now when you look at results and you're supposed to go, okay, we did enough, but then you're telling me we didn't do enough.
Yeah, but is it all that confusing? I mean, Notre Dame rattled off 10 wins in a row, multiple ranked wins, and is playing as well as enough to be in the college football playoff. Miami lost in November to SMU and to Louisville in October. So those are 2 recent losses, and they're not playing very well. Alabama played in the SEC championship game, lost that game, while Miami didn't play in their conference championship game in the weakest conference in the Power 4 college football because they didn't make it to the game because of those bad losses they had. I think it makes a lot of sense. Notre Dame and Bama are in the playoffs.
I will also say for Notre Dame, let's say Notre Dame is left out, theoretically. Notre Dame would only have themselves to blame in that scenario, in my opinion, because Notre Dame, over the last 150 years, you could have joined a conference at any time. I'm sure the Big Ten or the SEC or the ACC would love to have you as a full-time member.
If Notre Dame gets left out.
The last time I checked, 3 losses is more losses than 2 losses. So Alabama is going to get in the playoff with 3 losses, but it happened in a conference championship, which we're being told conference championships don't really matter anymore. Miami didn't play in a conference championship. They only have 2 losses. They beat a team that's going to be in the field. Like, then make it clearer. Make it clearer for the college football fan, because somebody's going to get left out, and we complained about this in the 4-team field, and now there's going to be more complaints in the 12-team field, so then it's going to expand, and you have all of these qualifications, and you have 5 conference champions that are going to get in, and that leads us to the next thing, because now, Brad, it looks like James Madison will get in, be that 12 seed, because Duke won the ACC title, and Duke will likely not be ranked higher than the Dukes. So that means James Madison will be the 12 seed. This is absolute bonkers because Duke has broken the college football playoff.
Richard said it last week, Hakeem, and we've been talking about this for almost a month now on set, just that this ACC chaos scenario unfolded exactly how we explained it through these wild scenarios. Duke and Darien Menza beat Virginia in overtime. Now you've got Miami on the outside looking in. You've got JMU was ranked this week for the first time. How sly is the committee, by the way, just putting JMU in at number 25, not 22, not 23. Let's rank them just at 25. And by the way, we've got no idea where they've slotted Duke. You know, are they 36th? Are they 42nd? They're probably well beyond JMU. So I think Duke's out. ACC champions likely heading to the Sun Bowl. How about that?
So the group of 5 is going to get 2 teams in.
Yeah, they are.
And you're going to say, based on this system, Miami's going to get left out in the cold because of the 5 highest-ranked conference champions guaranteed a spot.
Maybe Miami should have beaten SMU or Louisville, and maybe the ACC should have protected its teams by adding CFP to its tie-breaking scenario. Go ahead, Brad.
I've got no issue with Notre Dame and Miami making this bracket if Bama's left out. The biggest issue I would have is if Miami is ranked ahead of Notre Dame, because the committee has told us for a solid month that they like Notre Dame better than Miami, despite the head-to-head on-field result. And the Irish and Hurricanes were idle. So how do you move a team ahead of another one when you've told us for a month you like the other one better? It just makes no sense. Miami and Notre Dame, that's fine if you put both those teams in the bracket, but I better not see Miami ranked ahead of Notre Dame on Sunday.
Well, we're going to find out Sunday afternoon, Selection Sunday, the final college football playoff ranking. We'll see how it all shakes out. Here's another look at Brad Crawford's bracket prediction. Got Indiana at 1, Ohio State only slipping to 2, Georgia at 3, Texas Tech at 4, and you got Indiana at 1, Ohio State only slipping to 2, Georgia at 3, Texas Tech at 4, and you see there James Madison in as the 12 seed, going to play Oregon in this projected bracket, Tulane in a rematch against Ole Miss. Alabama, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and Miami left out in the cold. Duke left out in the cold. BYU left out in the cold. Man, this is getting hot. The college football playoff is going to all come down to Selection Sunday.